Hi, I'm Miss Sarah, and this is At Home Makerspace, where every week I show you how to make fun projects with things you can find at home. Our projects this summer are inspired by our library's summer reading theme, Imagine Your Story, which is all about fantasy and fairy tales and imagination. Now, this week's project is inspired by the kinds of stories that might really get your imagination going. I'm talking about the kinds of scary stories you might hear told around a campfire. Now, to go along with this, I wanted to show you guys a way that you can cook outdoors using the power of the sun. So this week, our challenge will be to create your own solar oven. The first thing you'll need to make your solar oven is some sort of a box. Now, my favorite kind of box for this project is a pizza box, particularly a small one like this, but feel free to adapt this project for whatever kind of box you can find at home. In addition to your box, you'll also need some aluminum foil, some plastic wrap, some black paper, scissors, and tape. You might also want a ruler and an unsharpened pencil. Finally, you might also want an x-acto knife, but make sure you have a grown-up who can help. Your first step will be to cut a tab in the lid. Leaving about a 1-inch border, cut 3 sides of a square. If you're having trouble getting this to work with scissors, ask a grown-up to cut it with an x-acto knife. Next, we will be covering this tab with some aluminum foil. Make sure to wrap it so that the shiny side is facing out. Go ahead and fold the edges around to the back side. You only really need this front part to be covered. Feel free to add tape if you think you need it. Next, you'll need to measure and cut a piece of black paper to fit inside the bottom of your pizza box. Your last step will be to tape a piece of plastic wrap so that it covers the hole left after we cut out our tab. You'll want to make sure that your plastic wrap is stretched nice and tight across this opening. So what I found that works well is to go ahead and tape one side so that it's secure. And then we are going to stretch across to the other side and tape that in place. I'm going to do the same thing with the other 2 sides. Okay, now that I have everything in place, the last thing I'll need to do is to refold my box. If I wanted to put something in my oven, I would of course put it on top of the black paper before I closed it up, but I just kind of want to show you guys how this is going to work. And if you're wondering about that pencil, stay tuned. I'll show you how it fits in. And that is how you make a solar oven with a pizza box. Now remember, if you don't have a pizza box at home, you can modify the design for whatever kind of box you might have. Here's how I might adapt this project for my shoebox. You'll notice that I don't have any black paper because my box is already black. Now that our solar oven is complete, we can talk a little bit about the science behind solar ovens and why we added all the things we did to ours. Now, the first thing that we added was the flap up here with the aluminum foil. Now, this works to bounce sunlight off of the aluminum foil and into the box. So I have a flashlight, and we're going to see if we can kind of show you how this will work. All right, so I'm going to direct the light onto the aluminum foil, and as you can see, the aluminum foil then directs it into the box. The next thing we added was the black paper to the bottom of our solar oven. Now we chose black paper because black is a really good color for absorbing sunlight. Think about going outside on a hot sunny day. After a while, a black t-shirt will feel hotter to the touch than a white or colored t-shirt because it absorbs more sunlight. But why is that? Well, sunlight is actually made up of light that is all the different colors of the rainbow. You can see this when you pass sunlight through something like a prism, which will separate it into the different colors of light. Now imagine all these colors of light are shining on our 3 different t-shirts. The red t-shirt will absorb the red light and reflect all the other colors. The white t-shirt, on the other hand, will not absorb any of the colors and will instead reflect all of them back. While the black t-shirt will absorb all the colors and not reflect any of them. That means the black t-shirt is absorbing the most light and will also become the hottest. That's why we line our box with black paper. The last thing we added was our plastic wrap. Now, our plastic wrap works similarly to how a greenhouse works. A greenhouse is a building made of glass, often used for growing plants. Sunlight can pass through the glass into the building, heating up the plants and soil inside. This heat then begins to rise, warming up the air. Some of this heat passes through the glass, and some is reflected back into the greenhouse, trapping the heat inside. So now that we understand a bit more about the science behind a solar oven, let's try a science experiment to see how hot a solar oven will actually get. I'm going to start with some water at room temperature, in this case 79.5 degrees. I've placed my water inside my oven and let it sit for 1 hour. Notice how I've used the pencil to prop up my lid. After 1 hour, let's see how much hotter my water is. 119.6 degrees. That's 40 degrees hotter. Let's try the same experiment with my second solar oven. Remember, you want to make sure you use the same amount of water for both experiments. After 1 hour, my water was 114.3 degrees, about 35 degrees hotter than our room temperature water. So why did the pizza box work better than the shoebox? My guess is that because the shoebox is bigger, it will take longer for the air inside to heat up. If you also make more than one solar oven, I encourage you to experiment with them. Which one works better, and why do you think that is? Finally, it is time to cook with our solar oven. Now, in keeping with our campfire theme, I thought it would be fun to make some s'mores. Now, you can make s'mores along with me, or feel free to try out a different recipe. My one piece of advice is to make sure that you have a recipe that fits with how hot your solar oven gets. So my solar oven gets to about 120 degrees, so I need recipes that work well at that temperature. That means I'm looking for recipes that involve warming things up or maybe melting things. Here are some recipes that you can make with a solar oven, and I'll include links to these recipes below. But for now, here's how you make a classic s'more. Start with a graham cracker. Break it in half so that you have a square. Now add some chocolate. I'm using some milk chocolate, but you can use your favorite chocolate. And a marshmallow. These are actually special s'more marshmallows. Top it with your other graham cracker. Place your s'more in your solar oven and set it outside until your chocolate begins to melt and your marshmallow becomes soft. Mine took about an hour. Solar ovens work best on hot sunny days and at times when the sun is high in the sky. Late morning through mid-afternoon would be the best times. All right, it is time for our s'mores taste test. I've got my solar oven here. I'm going to go ahead and open it up and take out my s'more. It smells chocolatey. Let's see how it did. So I can see the chocolate has gotten a little bit melty. Marshmallows, a little warm and soft. Very squishy. All right, let's see how it tastes. Chocolate is good. It is a thick marshmallow. I think if you guys do this one at home, you might want a little bit of a smaller marshmallow, unless, of course, you really, really like marshmallows. As always, the best part of Makerspace is getting to see all the awesome projects that you guys come up with. We'd love to see what you've been working on, so please take a picture or a video of your project and share it with us at the library. You can do so through Facebook at www.facebook.com/FHCPL. Through Instagram, our handle is @FHCPL, or you can send us an email. Our email address is makerspace@finleylibrary.org. We're really excited to see all of those solar ovens that you guys come up with. I'd love to know how hot your solar ovens got and what recipes you chose to cook. Hope you guys have lots of fun working on that project, and I will see you again next week for a new project. Bye! That is a chewy marshmallow, my goodness.